Hello. Today I want to explain how to create or show or render a camera on top of your UI as a render texture. You can use this for example, having a magnifier on top of your UI that magnifies a 3D model, or even just think of that you want to render a 3D object on top of your on-screen UI or overlay UI. So if you look at here, we have a canvas. So if I turn off this canvas, you can see that there's a 3D model behind it. So is it cube? It's just a simple cube. We have a main camera that is responsible for our UI and anything else. So here I also created a new layer called it Magnifier. So you don't know, you can add layer and add the magnifier here. Set the layer of your cube to magnifier, and if you go to your main camera, you can just disable magnifier. So now you can see that it is not being rendered by the main camera. However, if you look at here, the magnifier camera is rendering it, because in the magnifier camera, which is another camera I created in Scene, I clicked on right clicked here, created a new camera, and use these settings. So you can use perspective or orthographic based on your desire. And any other setting. The important settings are that the background time should be uninitialized so that it becomes transparent. And you need to add a render texture, which I'm gonna talk about it shortly. So yeah, this is the whole setup. By the way, the setup is only work on URP. If you need other rendering pipelines, you might need to do other similar settings, but these are for URP only. So next, we should create a render texture. So you right click here, create a render texture. And here is the render texture I already created. So you can set up the size and anything you want. The size should be the same as the UI image that you want to render the 3D object on top of it. So if I turn on the canvas, you can see that we see the cube here. How does it work? Because there is a background behind it. You can see. So this is a kind of a UI. Any UI does have a background with a color. And there's a raw image. So in this raw image, I set the magnifier render texture to its texture value. So it's because of that, anything that this camera renders and output onto this render texture will be output in this raw image. So if you see here, you see this is kind of like an image that is rendering your camera. And even if you, for example, move your cube, because the camera is capturing it, it will render that. So for example, you can just by doing this, you can do magnifying things or zoom or anything else. Yeah. So if I'm gonna summarize it, so you need another camera with a output texture, uninitialized background type, and the raw image on top of your UI. Just also make sure that your main camera is rendering anything other than magnifier, and your magnifier camera is rendering only the magnifier layer, and that should work for you. Thanks for joining me today.